believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Contact me, State Farm Agent Scott Carlson, to create your personal price plan today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Being in business has its rewards as well as its challenges. It means being the first one in the door in the morning and turning off the lights when you leave at night. Your business is unique, and you need a bank that understands your needs. You deserve the best. You need a financial partner that is invested in your success. You need Pioneer Bank and Trust. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Since 1928, Connect Home Center has been proud to serve Rapid City and Spearfish with quality products and customer service that you can trust. In 2000, Connect joined the Mead Lumber family, and now they're taking the next step into their journey. Connect Home Center is becoming Mead Lumber. Same people, same service, just a new name from design to finish. Mead Lumber is here for you, as they've always been. MeadLumber.com.
We all know life's busy, and if you get sick, you can get behind pretty quick. That's where Black Hills Urgent Care comes in. No appointments needed, no long waits, just fast, affordable care to get you feeling better quicker. Black Hills Urgent Care has 2 locations in Rapid City on Haynes Avenue and Mountain View Road. You can simply check in online at bhucare.com. That's with the letter U, bhucare.com. When you need care, see the team at Black Hills Urgent Care, the faster way to get better.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
We start off at the U.S. as the U.S. men's hockey team played their first game of the Winter Olympics today against Latvia in Italy.
Keuchel, Austin Matthews, score! Second power play goal for the United States. It is now 5-1.
That would be the final on NBC. U.S. picking up a victory today in group play, as did Canada, who dropped Czechia by a score of 5-0. American snowboarder Chloe Kim took home the silver in the women's halfpipe. She was looking for 3 straight golds in that event. In the NBA, Jazz forward Jaren Jackson Jr. out for the year. He had surgery to remove a growth in his knee. De'Aaron Fox of the Spurs replacing Giannis Antetokounmpo for Sunday's NBA All-Star Game. ESPN says Pistons guard Cade Cunningham has purchased a minority share of the Texas Rangers. The Phillies today released outfielder Nick Castellanos. I'm Dan Beyer.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. We're ready to go on a Thursday. The Nate Brown Show is back and ready. We are live. Hope you're having a solid day. Remember one thing when you listen to the program, but you can always, this is your motto for life. It's always a great day in South Dakota. Here we go. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live. Fox Sports Radio. Glad you're here. Thanks for making this show possible. We really appreciate you. The Nate Brown Show heard across South Dakota on Fox Sports Radio affiliates, KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls. Welcome in the East River sports fans. I love you guys. Here we go, West River with Fox Sports Rapid City. And we are live streaming on X right now. Follow us and watch us live at Nate Brown Show. So if you can't catch the radio all 2 hours, catch us on X on your phone. Take us with you at Nate Brown Show on X, live on YouTube as well. The Nate Brown Show. Subscribe to the channel. Get us up there. Those subscription numbers going up. It's free. It's easy. You can get the live show on YouTube, The Nate Brown Show. If you're a YouTube person, you've got to search for us and give us a thumbs up and watch us live each day. One more place, Midwest Sports Plus. Yes, you can catch us online on Midwest Sports Plus and the new app. Get the new app for live games across South Dakota and the Nate Brown Show. Midwest Sports Plus. Download it and you've got us. How does it look on a Thursday? Looks good here. We've got some good stuff across the board. It's a Thursday happy hour, second hour with Rob Kagron. He is ready to go. Rob's got something to do early next week, so I think this is the last hitter. He'll miss a little part next week, but so we better make it count tonight. Rob Kagron's coming in, national radio host, heard on the Nate Brown Show every week on a Thursday happy hour with Rob. Until then, Randy Soma joins us live from Pierre. He's getting set for the state duels, by the way. State wrestling duels going on in Pierre. Randy Soma's the assistant executive director of the Activities Association and the guy in charge when it comes to football. That's his sport. And so I want to get into a whole host of topics there on the football side with Randy Soma live from the Activities Association in Pierre. We'll go to Jake Sorensen tonight. Covers the Huskers and host of the morning show on 93.7 The Ticket out of Lincoln, Nebraska. There's a new book out when it comes to Huskers. And I just want to dig into this a little bit. Bill Moose, former AD for the Huskers, has a book out, and he's been talking about it. There's excerpts that have been going around, and all the discussion points with Jake Sorensen, some of the big hitters from the Bill Moose book and more. How about Husker basketball? I predicted it the other night. Somebody sent it a text and wanted to bet me. I didn't want the Huskers to lose, but they've lost a few now. They lose to Purdue in OT. They came back but couldn't quite pull it off. We'll talk Nebraska ball and see where they sit when it comes to getting close to tournament time here. And Sam Herder's on tonight. Stay tuned for the senior FCS analyst. He has made a prediction. He has listed teams that will go to the FBS next. Oh, boy, Sam, you're going to step in it. You're going to step in that. Sam Herder's coming up. HeroSports.com talking FCS, NDSU, and who is next to go to the FBS level, according to Sam. We'll dig into all that. So here we go tonight on the Nate Brown Show. Welcome in on your drive home. Be a part of the program if you want in. Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline, 605-720-1067. We'll have some fun there, I hope. 605-720-1067. That's your opportunity to be a part of the conversation. I invite you on. Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline, powered by the Pizza Ranch in Brandon. Great location. And East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. Another solid location, locally owned. Home of everyone's favorite buffet at the Pizza Ranch. Barron's Wilson text line is open as well. Ways you can contribute. If you can't call, you can contribute to the conversation. I always read those as they come in, and we'll try and read them on the air as well, best we can keep up with you. So 605-720-1067. Same number. Mark that down for the Barron's Wilson text line. All right, let's have a discussion here tonight. I saw this new information come out this week, and I said, I'm going to hang on to this. I'm going to save this. This came from the Associated Press, okay? There's a new poll out. It's a nationwide poll on sports fans. And I think they did this because the Super Bowl just happening and, you know, who's watching what and who's passionate about what and the whole thing. So would you guys consider me an old man yelling at the clouds? If you've listened to the show, that's a dangerous question. That's not my question of the day. I don't think I'm an old man yelling at the clouds. I try and keep up with the speed of things. I try and keep up with the new stuff. I know I play 80s and 90s bumper music. I mean, get used to it, live with it, survive. That's the best era right there anyway. So I'm not an old man yelling at the clouds usually, right? I try and see the new perspective. I have kids. They're keeping me up to speed as best they can. So I'm not going to try and be, we used to do this, and we used to be better, and but there is a little bit of that. As I get older, I look back and I say, boy, I miss certain things, how they were in sports. I miss the NBA days, and people are talking about that, how the NBA now is way different than it was when you and I watched it. And that's just the facts. Because I'm watching last night, I enjoyed the game. I'm watching Wembanyama last night, Spurs and Golden State, and I enjoyed the game. I did. But I was not as passionate last night, and it's probably just my age. I'm not as invested. There's a lot of things going on, family, and you're running every which way doing practices. But I used to love the NBA and the NBA on NBC and the whole thing. And stuff's just not the same. I think we can be sure on that. Stuff's not the same with social media and our phones and our addictions and everybody's an expert. I mean, all that stuff. Sports media is not the same. We got alternate broadcasts, and now we got Pat McAfee that's going to try and do a new broadcast for the Super Bowl next year. All of this stuff. What is my point? The point is, are younger people just doing things differently? Are the younger generations in the sports category just doing things differently now, but they're still as passionate about sports? Because this poll out, I'm going to run through this, not every single number, but this poll says the younger generation, these are like high schoolers into college age. So the young generation here. This poll out today, nationwide, 20% of the young generation, they call them Gen Z. Gen Z. I lose track of all these generations. 20% of Gen Z considers themselves avid sports fans. So when I say that, what do you say? That's what I want to know. Do you think the younger generations are still passionate about sports? That is my question of the day tonight as we start, because I'm running through this. They're saying the baby boomers, 30% are avid sports fans, okay? Millennials, 33%. So those are some of the higher numbers. Some of the older guys, and then some of the mid-range guys from the 80s and 90s. Millennials, 1981, 1996. You know what they call me? You know what my nickname is? Because I'm an old soul? Papa Millennial. There's some guys that started calling me, and I'm on that bubble. I'm on the bubble. So here's what this poll found out. Which of the following best describes you when it comes to sports? The young generation has a low number. 20% say they are avid sports fans. 33% of the Gen Zers don't follow sports at all. So let me ask you this question of the day tonight. You just give me your sense for it, and I'm trying to be fair on this. Do you think young people today are as passionate about following sports? They just do it differently. According to this poll, if you want to take this as the law of the land, this poll says the Gen Zers, late 90s into the 2000s here, that's when they were born. Man, it makes me feel old. People were actually born in the 2000s. My kids were. How about that? The Gen Zers, 20% avid sports fans, 33% non-sports fans at all. So what does this tell us? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. What is this phrase? Have you heard this phrase, the know-nothing generation? Have you also heard that phrase? That considers the young people as well. The know-nothing generation. That seems derogatory. You think? That seems negative. They say they don't know anything about anything. Politics, news. They're just on their phones and they're like, hey, did you see this snap? Hey, did you see this snap? This snap and this TikTok. And I saw this video once. It was cool. It was a dog. He was jumping through puddles. Did you see this? Is that the know-nothing generation, or are these guys still following sports? They're just doing it differently than me and you. And I'm serious about that. I'd be curious if you took a poll of this audience tonight. Now, where are we heard? We're heard on Fox Sports Radio, so the radio audience is a little bit older, usually. You guys have jobs, you have lives, you're driving home, you're driving kids to practices, all that. But then we're also on people's phones right now. So you can pick us up on YouTube. Everybody says YouTube's the cool thing, right? You got to be YouTube. You got to be on X. We're on Midwest Sports Plus. So you can not only listen to the show, you can watch the show in numerous ways. And I still would argue this. I'm just telling you, I don't think we have a ton of young people that are engaged on shows like this saying, yeah, I have this opinion, I have that opinion, I want to hear about this, I want to hear about that. Sometimes we have had young people check in on the text line. By the way, if you are a young person, I'm sending out a signal on the Nate Brown Show tonight across South Dakota. If you are young, and what's considered young, I'm talking like 20-something. That's young these days. 20-something. Can you text me? Can you text the text line and say, yes, I'm in on this? Because we do have some young fans. However, there is a lot of fans when it comes to sports, and I think the most passionate fans, to me, seem like guys my age and older. That's what it seems like to me. Maybe I'm off on it. Let's throw the question of the day out there and see if what you said. So the poll that came out is the nationwide poll, Morning Consult. They did the Morning Consult poll. They did it about sports this week. And they say Gen Zers, that's the young folks today, lowest number of avid sports fans. Just 20% are avid sports fans. 33% don't follow sports. So my own poll here on the Nate Brown Show says, do you think young people today are still passionate about following sports as the older generation? 605-720-1067. Hit us on the text line if you would for the question of the day. 76% of people are answering it on Twitter. 76% say the younger people are not as passionate today about sports. Why is that? What is going on? What is going on that? 76% say the young people are not as passionate about sports. 24% say, yes, they're passionate, but they're following it on their phones. So this poll dug into some stuff, too. What did it find out? They asked people if they're, if they go to games. They asked the Gen Z part of this, do you guys go to games? And there's a lot of them that don't go to games either. A lot of them do not go to games. 53% in this new poll that came out when it comes to, figuring out people's passions when it comes to sports. 53% of the young people get their sports from social media. How about that one? So 53% of the young generation today gets their sports from social media. That's wild. I guess you could say you could get this show on social media. I guess that counts. But meaning they're not sitting there watching games like you and I, right? I don't think they're watching games like you and I, and I don't think they're going to very many games. So think about, here it is. Millennials are the most avid sports fans, they say, today. Still millennials and then baby boomers. Which of the following best describes people? Gen Z is the lowest number. That's late 90s into the 2000s, okay? We have some listener texts coming in. Let's see what people say. 605-720-1067. It sounds like old man yelling at the clouds. My audience on here is saying 76% of my audience on Twitter says the young generation's not as passionate about sports. 24% of you say they are passionate. They're just following it on their phones. Listener text. Young people don't watch a full game anymore. Yeah, I believe that. I do believe that. And I can't tell you, like, older guys like me watch full games all the time, but I do when I can. I mean, I watch full games when I can. I don't just go to the highlights. And the young generation they just go to social media and they get the highlights and then they've got it. So part of it is our world today. We feed stuff constantly to everybody. Now. They don't have to watch the game. They don't have to watch the first, second quarter of a basketball game. They just going to get the highlights. North Carolina beat Duke. Hey, did you see that buzzer beater? Oh, yeah. But they're still following that, right? I mean, to a point, so we can put them down and say, they're not following it. Well, they're still following it on their phones, and they just saw the buzzer beater. North Carolina beat Duke, and then they figured they'd watch the game. When I actually watched Duke in North Carolina, I watched the full games all the time. That was my wheelhouse. I mean, how many Duke, North Carolina games have I watched? A ton. Just a ton. Let's see. Lister text. Let's see this. Younger generation consumes sports much differently than the older crowds. The younger crowds want the 5-minute highlights. It doesn't mean that they're less passionate. Okay, so I understand that. Let's see. Lister text. I'm 23. Love ball. Love the show. That a boy? I like that. Let's see. Lister text. There's no appreciation for everything that goes into being good at something. So the games don't grab and keep attention anymore. TikTok does. The games don't grab and keep attention. TikTok does. Lister text, Jeremy checking in, 22 years old, love watching football, FCS level, most because it seems less about money than FBS. Love the Yotes as well. All right, I like it. I like that. Some passion from the young crowd. See, look at that. We're bringing in some young crowd. I mean, I'm getting older. I understand. My body's telling me that. I'm getting older, but we still got some young, passionate fans. And I am here to say that. Here's the other part. Some people will say, well, young kids, they don't play sports either. I mean, that's the old we've heard that, right? They don't play sports either. Yeah, they do. The young people play sports. We've ruined that. What do I mean by that? You can't have a 6th grade girl now, if she's not on a travel basketball team and hasn't started 3 years ago, she can't find a place to play. She's not just going to go out to the park or go out to the wherever YMCA and play. Very rarely. So we've ruined the old backyard wiffle ball tournaments. That's all I did as a kid. I set up my own bracket, man. I had wiffle ball tournaments in my backyard. It was the real deal. We've ruined that. So we like picking on saying, oh, they don't play. They don't just go to the park. They don't just, they do. We just have them going to this and going to that and going to this and going to that and going to this. So then by Friday, they're like, all right, what do we got this weekend? I mean, that's true. That's true. So just keep that in mind. I think a lot of times like, oh, they don't play sports anymore. I get it. It's changed, but we've changed that culture. The adults have changed the culture to a point. Lister text, I agree most young people get their sports from social media these days. That's where so many of the crazy takes come from. I sit there and with my friends, well, did you watch the game? And almost no one my age sits through a full game. Okay. That's an interesting text, too. Let me know how old you are, by the way, whoever sent that. That's what I mean. I do believe that. They do not sit through games. I mean, I have to make my daughters sit through games. They're interested in it. They play sports. They're interested. But they rarely will sit there through a whole game with me. We'll watch Broncos, pretty heavy, Super Bowl, some of that big stuff, college basketball, but usually about a half an hour. So coming right back, we'll stay in this. A lot to discuss tonight. So that's an interesting poll. 20% of the young folks say they're avid sports fans today. That's a nationwide poll just done this week. Randy Soma's in tonight. He's the Assistant Executive Director of the Activities Association. I want to talk about South Dakota high school football, scheduling, and where we go from here. Coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
How do you make a buffet day even better? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade is your place for good food and good times. Won the big game? Make it a play day. Aced your test? Make it a play day. Just need to get out of the house? Make it a play day. The Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade has all your favorites and all kinds of fun. So bring your family, bring your friends, bring your team. For good food and good times, make it a buffet day and a play day at the Pizza Ranch and Fun Zone Arcade.
At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people get into all kinds of vehicles with loans as unique as them. Trucks, cars, SUVs, we finance them all with local service and rates starting as low as 4.99% APR. That's right, 4.99%. Keep your loan local and find the one that fits you at bhfcu.com. Apply today online or text 605-718-1818 to get started. Offer subject to credit approval. BHFCU is member owned and insured by NCUA.
No one has more to choose from at a better price than Mr. Liquor in Rapid City. This month's specials include $5 off all flavors of Kahlua 750s, now $24.99. Save $5 off Traveler Whiskey from Chris Stapleton, now only $29.99. Or pick up Jameson Original and Orange 750s, now just $26.49. Price is good at both Mr. Liquor stores, off Catron next to Walmart, or on the corner of West Chicago and Sturgis Road in Rapid City.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Lows of love around 30 tonight under mainly clear skies, west winds around 5 miles per hour. Highs of love around 58 tomorrow, mainly sunny. Clear skies tomorrow night 31. Mainly sunny skies Saturday with daytime highs approaching 57, 62 Sunday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, 51.
Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer from Denny Menholt Toyota. Use your phone. It's fast and easy. Pull up our website, click on Value Trade-In, scan your VIN, and tell us about your car. You are on your way to a no-hassle, no-commitment cash offer on your vehicle in under 5 minutes. Bring your vehicle and your Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer to Denny Menholt Toyota and get cash or trade-in credit today. See you soon at Denny Menholt Toyota, Rapid City.
Calling all basketball teams, it's time to box out the competition. The Box Out Basketball Tournament's taking over the Box Elder Event Center May 29th through 31st. The tournament's open to 5th through 10th grade boys and girls with limited team spots available. Friday and Saturday feature pool play, leading to Sunday's bracket play for the win. Fast-paced games, big plays, unforgettable moments at the best facility. Register now at thebox.live.
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely, and you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds.
Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. First time, long time. Only time you'll hear new music on the Nate Brown Show when we talk about younger generations and the older generation. So there you go. Enjoy it tonight. South Dakota Sports Talk Show. We're just getting started. Here we go. Let's get after it tonight. Talk high school, college, and the pros. We got you covered all the way through. It's Thursday with Rob Kegron coming in as well, second hour. National host Rob Kegron joins us every week on the Nate Brown Show. He's had a great career, and good to have him as a guest host next hour. Rob Kegron's coming up. All right, let's go high school sports, and he's the assistant executive director of the Activities Association, does a lot of good work, and the football guy and more. That's what I call him, okay? He didn't call himself that, but he's in charge of that stuff. Randy Soma on tonight, getting set for state duels, as a matter of fact, in Pierre. Randy, thanks for coming on. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on, Nate.
I appreciate your time. So I want to start in the football side of things because that release came out from the Activities Association yesterday about the Sioux Falls metro area getting to play Omaha. And I've talked to a couple of different people. A lot of people are excited about that. I want to ask you how that became an opening, how that became an opportunity for you guys to help out and do this partnership to get Sioux Falls some Omaha games.
Yeah, great question. The last cycle, we were looking at possibilities with North Dakota and Nebraska with doing something like this, and this was to reduce that crossover game with AA schools if we could. Not all of them, because we didn't know if we'd have enough games or not to offer those, but so that worked out well for us, and being able to use Nebraska, Omaha, to have those crossover games. I'm excited about it too. I think it allows schools with closer ADMs to play each other, and then also it should be a good cross-state or between-state battles. I think it's going to be an outstanding matchup with these teams.
Yeah, kind of a fresh perspective there. We haven't seen that, and I think a lot of schools are excited about that. Hey, we get to play somebody new. Did the AA schools on that crossover, sometimes people were interested in those games, peer playing somebody, or did the AA schools not like that, or who didn't like that?
Well, I think, I don't know if it's a not like thing as it is when you look at it. What does that game do for you in the sense of we hope that we don't get kids injured and stuff like that, because we won't play any of those teams in the playoff. And so, in a lot of those AAA schools can platoon a lot more than AA schools, and so with the high numbers that they have, it's easier for them to have a totally different offensive and defensive line and those kind of things. So I think schools in the AA would like to play more just AA and less AAA schools, and so I think we're trying to accommodate that as well. It doesn't totally work. We have crossovers in 9-man all the way up through 11 AAA, so there is crossover games in every class, and that's just how it works to get everybody a schedule in the state.
Randy Soma on tonight. He's talking football. He schedules the games, does a lot of work in South Dakota High School football, assistant executive director for the Activities Association. Sioux Falls Metro Schools going to play Omaha schools in a 2-year cycle here, one on the road and one at home. So I was thinking about that, kind of tweaking the schedule there a little bit. Do you think there's going to be any opportunity for West River schools to do something like this? They used to play Wyoming, Nebraska. Is there any room for that?
Well, and part of that request, that we've had is they like to play those West River class AA schools, and the AA schools like to play them. So the Spearfish, Sturgis matchups with Rapid City Central and Stevens, they like those matchups because it cuts down on costs for travel, for one thing, and they're close and get good crowds for it. And so, I'm not ruling anything out in the future. If we can get things to work out, I'm all for making it acceptable for everybody, but we got to still get all our schools games, and that's the hardest part, because right now, previously we used to have other outside schools, like maybe Hot Springs or something like that, traveling across the border to play teams, those outskirt towns on the border playing those teams, and we just haven't done that because we had to get all of our games in, and not everybody was willing to play everybody. And so we had to, that's why I think we essentially took it over in our office and made sure everybody had a fair and equal schedule.
See, that's where I wanted to go, Randy, is I wanted to talk to you. You put this together now for a while, and I always hear it's a big challenge. You're trying to make it equitable. You're trying to watch travel. You're trying to get good competitive games. You're trying to stay within class. We got 7 classes. So do you think there's any appetite for schools to schedule a portion of their games? Would that work at all, with them doing some of their games, you doing some conference class games?
Well, and we kind of do that already, because we take requests in the sense of, if you have a conference, we'll try to make sure that you play everybody in your conference if they're in the same class. We try to do that. Now, there's some crossovers. 9-man's really difficult because we do that a lot. But we try to have those accommodations to allow that. West River, we try to make sure that we're trying to play as many West River games as they can to cut down on that travel. It doesn't work out perfectly because we don't have the perfect numbers, but we look at location, we look at conference affiliation, and we look at class size when we start divvying them out. Now, what happens is, like when you look at class 11A or 11 AA, or 11A and 11B, they might cross over, or they might be playing a lot more on their side of the state, but they might have 1 or 2 long trips.
Right.
And we try to split that up so they only go to one of those trips a year. So it's not easy by any means trying to pencil this out and get it all equal for everybody, but we try to do the best we can. And we do take those into consideration. So we ask schools, what are 2 or 3 games that who you want to play for sure? And they send that in. And if the other school says the same thing, more than likely we'll get them those games.
Okay. Randy Soma on tonight talking high school football, the new schedule coming out. Sioux Falls Metro going to play some Omaha schools. He's the assistant executive director for the Activities Association. How difficult is it for you to put the schedule together all the way from 11 AAA down to 9B? How difficult is it to put everybody's schedule together?
Well, it's gotten easier. My first couple years, it took me a really long time, because you start, and as soon as you get towards the end, you have like 3 or 4 openings, and once you start moving things, it kind of messes up everything. And so when I initially started doing it, it was really difficult, and it took me 2-3 months to get it. And it's just crazy how many detailed things you had to do. Now moving it into using more computer stuff, asking other people to help with the process in regards to that computer process, putting in the GPS locations, the conference affiliations and their locations. That alone has helped.
Okay, very interesting. I want to get your read on a couple of things. What if a success factor committee comes back through their work and they take it to the board and a success factor model is implemented where teams move up and potentially teams move down based on win percentage and whatever they figure out? Is that going to be workable? Let's say this happens over the next year and a half or 2.
Well, I don't think that would come into effect until the next classification rotation, which is in 2 years.
Okay.
So that's why we're doing the work now. And so then we would take those numbers the year before the next classification and put those people in classifications, and then they'd still get that. There's still a chance to appeal that, whether you're moved up or down. People could say, I still don't want to move down, or I want to appeal moving up, and those kind of things. So there's still that process. If it even goes through, we still have, a lot of work yet to do on that. And then I would also think that we might have some changes in our seed procedure for points and stuff like that. I think if we allowed schools kind of to schedule their own games, we could run into those issues with the seed points, because there'd be a lot more teams that might play down a class to be more competitive, and it ends up, hurting the seed points. And how that's figured out at the end of the year. So it's difficult to say, but I think, that whole process of competitiveness moving up and down is still got a lot of work to do. And we have a committee working hard on that.
Well, let me ask you about football officiating. I just saw somebody out, a ref was saying, hey, we're always needing more officials. How has that looked? We've had to move games to Thursdays, and it seems like we've had crews, but where's the officiating at?
Yeah, great question. We're always looking for officials, not just in football, but every sport. I think we have a lot of outstanding officials, but we need more. We have a lot of officials that are getting older and are moving out or are just subbing in on different crews, which makes that finding crews, if we have so many games a week, we I think we had like 65 or 66 crews last year, and we have more games than that in a weekend. And so that makes it difficult when you also talk all-nation games as well. They need crews, and so it's difficult to get those equally spread out, which I have to do in my office as well. Once we get this schedule worked out, then we work on assigning officials crews for everyone in the state on those varsity games, and that's another puzzle that takes enormous amounts of time, talking about GPS locations of where their crew is, talking about the level of game, all those kind of things, their evaluations from the previous year, what games they've done in the past, and taking that all into consideration. So that's not an easy task either, but we always need more. I wish we didn't have to play on Thursdays or Saturdays unless a school chose to. I would really like to have enough crews, and I think we're working hard to get that. We have a lot of crews that have more than 5 people in their crew because they rotate people through. If we had a better idea who those extras were, we could probably put together some crews and make it a little easier to have more games covered, and that'll help. We're moving towards getting that process ironed out a little bit better, but we always need new officials. And, I always find it interesting how hard it is to do lower level games, and that's where our new officials are coming in and doing that. So we're working hard on a mentoring program too to make sure that those people are getting mentored, but also helping them because it's not easy. And the lower the level you go, I think it's the harder to officiate it. And so they're officiating at a hard level with those lower levels because there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of if you talk football, holding or penalties that are going on that you have to call or at least coach them through it. And so it makes it more difficult than a more crisp game when you get to the varsity level.
A good football update tonight in South Dakota High School football. He's the Assistant Executive Director of the Activities Association in Pierre, Randy Soma. I appreciate you coming on, Randy. Thanks for the time.
Yep, no problem. And just to know, we have big state tournaments coming up this weekend. We got duels in Pierre, we got gymnastics in Mitchell, and esports in Aberdeen, and then that's the kickoff for a winter state tournament. So excited to get them started, and hope everybody's ready to start watching some state tournaments.
I love it. Great time of year, a busy time of year starting this weekend, and Randy Soma at the state duels getting set up right now. Appreciate him coming on. Activities Association Assistant Executive Director, live from Pierre on the Nate Brown Show. Good stuff. Interesting. He talked about it's tough. It's going to be tough if schools took over scheduling football. Seed points, would they play the right amount of opponents? Would the right opponents? Stuff like that. So I think it's a tough road to try and get schools to schedule their own games. I don't know why it's so tough in football. I don't know. We have maybe it's because we have 92 classes and everybody is going to complain about this and that, and that's probably part of it. So we schedule basketball and 20 games. We're gonna go to 22 potentially, and nobody seems to complain about that as much. But Randy Soma in charge of scheduling games, and that sounds like that's the way that will be. Sam Herder's in next on the Nate Brown Show. We'll talk FCS. He just predicted the next 3 FCS football teams to go to the FBS. Is South Dakota State in there? Sam Herder coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Show your home some love with an upgrade to Acclaim replacement windows and an ensemble entry door. Get 20% off windows and doors with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus, get an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Energy efficient, durable, and custom made for the perfect fit. It's time to show your home some love. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but isn't really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit our trans world every day. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
Show live at Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back in Your Sports, Your Show, the Nate Brown Show live. Glad you're here. We got people from 22 to 82 listening tonight. I know I have 22-year-olds listening. They were texting in tonight. We were checking our generations tonight because the question of the day is, are the younger generations as passionate about sports as the older generations? New poll out nationwide said Gen Zers, that's the 90s into the 2000s, you're born then, they only 20% of them, 20% are avid sports fans. So I threw it out to my audience. Are the younger generations as passionate about sports as the older generations? That's our question of the day. We had people checking in, man, on the show. 22, 23, 23, 24. It's big time. Big time. I like it, guys. 605-720-1067. It's the text line for the question of the day. Is the younger generation as passionate about sports, following sports, as the older generation? That's our question of the day. How about Sam Herder? He has great following. It's Sam Herder FCS on X. Find him at herosports.com. Senior FCS analyst and younger than me. I'll just tell you that. Sam, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you. Let me dig into this. I don't know if you've looked at any numbers. I don't know about this, but you cover college sports and the FCS. Are young fans, young people, as passionate about sports as old guys like me? Are they just getting their sports differently? What's your read, Sam Herder?
Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't really thought much of it. Just from what what I've noticed when it comes to social media engagement, it seems like there's more upper 30s, 40s, 50s as far as engaging with tweets and all that. It seems like there's more passionate fans that are older. I don't see a whole lot of, college students in my DMs trying to argue with me. It's usually 40 and 50-year-olds, and so I don't know if that means they're more passionate or they're just more tuned in, or they have more more years of following their team, and so maybe they just have a bit more passion built up with that. But
Okay.
I haven't thought much of it, I guess.
That's interesting. You know what we call those people yelling at you? Those are old men yelling at the clouds like me. That's what we call them. All right. It's interesting. I want to get into what's happened, the big news. We've talked about it all week. The NDSU move to the FBS level. There's people throwing all sorts of opinions out there. Here's one I want to ask from you. Does North Dakota State go into the new Mountain West here and have a winning record right away? That was the question I posed. Do they go 5-3, 6-2, or do they go 3-5? Just off the top, we don't know who they won't play. There's one team they're not going to play. If you can look to the Mountain West, you look at NDSU, what's your read on right away jumping in and where they go?
Yeah, I think 6-2, something like that. I think they'll finish in the conference. I'll be honest, I don't know much about the Mountain West. I don't know who's good. UNLV is good. New Mexico is on the rise. But most of their top teams have departed that conference. And so it's a good group of 6 conference, but it's not a great group of 6 conference. And a lot of the computer rankings and Sagarin ratings will tell you that NDSU can, go in there and be the best team. And they very well could go into the Mountain West and, finish at the top of the standings right away. It sounds like they won't be eligible for the Mountain West Conference championship game. But the 26 Bison do have, I should say, some question marks, right? I mean, offensive line, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, cornerback, linebacker, defensive end. Like there's a lot more question marks around the 26 Bison compared to the 24 Bison, for example. And so it is a team that does have question marks. At the same time, the Bison have been able to reload just fine year after year, and they're stepping into a conference that, again, is good, but it's not like they're going into the American or the new Pac-12. So it's not, just a juggernaut of a conference that they're stepping into.
Okay, here's a prediction you made, and I don't know if you're getting hit on this or not, and I want your reasoning behind it. You said your best guess for the next FCS teams to go to the FBS. Next 3. Sacramento State, we know why they're trying to right now. Essentially, they're telling us they are doing it. So Sacramento State, Tarleton State, and UC Davis. So those are the next 3 you said that you think will go FBS whenever that is in the next 3 years. People say, why not South Dakota State? That's a big one. Why not the Montana schools?
Money, lack of likely invites anytime soon, I would say are the 2 biggest reasons. Also, just overall university wants, the want to go FBS. That's a part of it as well. Sac State is willing to pay their way into an FBS conference, most likely the MAC. They are going to kick down every single door possible to get into the FBS. I don't see that from South Dakota State or the Montana schools, willing to, buy their way in at this point where things stand, or, if they have that FBS, at all costs, we're going to get in. I don't necessarily see that mindset from South Dakota State or the Montana schools. And also too, just, you look at Tarleton State, they have, a lot of money right there. They also have the location that make them, an attractive addition, whether it is Conference USA or whether the Mountain West wants to get into Texas. And so that's why I put Tarleton up in that list. Then UC Davis would just be a natural fit for the Mountain West. They're in the Mountain West for all their other sports. Right now, UC Davis football, they're pretty comfortable in the Big Sky for football only, pretty comfortable in the FCS. But at some point within the next 5 years, maybe even 3-4 years, I could see eventually UC Davis moving into the Mountain West. So that's why all 3 of those teams are ahead of Montana State and Montana and South Dakota State, because I just think there are more hurdles for some of those few teams that I just mentioned to get into the FBS before some of these other teams.
Find him on X at Sam Herder FCS. This is Sam Herder on the Nate Brown Show, FCS senior analyst for HeroSports.com. Do you think it's risky for a South Dakota State? I'll even throw in the Montana schools, USD, these schools here at the top of the FCS. Is it risky to just hold tight, wait, not have an aggressive, hey, we want to get in, we're going to go. Is it risky because people say they may not just let you in if this whole college football realignment things happen? They may not just let you in. So is it risky to just hold tight right now?
It could be, but that's not necessarily their choice either, right? Like I'm sure Montana State, South Dakota State, they're doing a lot of things behind the scenes to get themselves ready for if that FBS invite ever comes. I don't think they're doing nothing. I'm sure they're raising money and they're doing things with their scholarships and they're getting funding in place and staffing in place. And so if they ever do get that FBS invite, they are ready to go. But I mean, how much you want to go to the FBS sometimes doesn't matter, because we've seen Sacramento State scream from the mountaintops, we are going to FBS, and so far that hasn't happened. Now, I think there's a chance they're going to join the MAC for football only, and they're going to have to buy their way in. But that's like door number 9 that Sacramento State has tried to go through to get to the FBS. And so your FBS want can be a 10 out of 10. That doesn't mean you're going to get there. So I don't know if even if South Dakota State came out and said, yes, we want to go FBS and we want to go FBS as soon as possible, that doesn't mean South Dakota State is going to get an invite within the next 5 years. And so I think it's more of a delicate balance of doing things behind the scenes, somehow letting your fans and donors know that you're not just sitting on your hands and doing nothing, but at the same time there is that kind of political part of it too of being good partners with the Summit League and the Missouri Valley Football Conference. And you don't want to just come out and say, yes, we're going to go FBS pretty soon, because if that invite doesn't happen and you can't deliver FBS, then you're kind of in the Sac State mold where people are kind of poking fun at you because you want to go FBS, but no one wants you. So there is that delicate balance for some of these other top-tier FCS programs.
Okay, here's how I saw it, Sam. I think that NDSU going to the FBS opens the door for, obviously, SDSU. I mean, we know that. They've been there. They won 2 national titles. I think it opens the door for USD to continue to advance. They've made the runs into the playoffs the last 2 years. Does this open a door for a program like USD to take a big dog out of the playoffs when the Yotes have been trying to get there?
Yeah, it definitely does. And the Yotes have been on the rise, 3 straight quarterfinal appearances. And, even UND, I think UND should be looked at as a top 10 team going into this year, along with USD. I would probably put, those teams somewhere in my top 15 to my top 10 heading into the 2026 season. And, that's the cons of NDSU moving up are pretty obvious in that it weakens the subdivision and it lowers the bar to win a national title, which isn't necessarily a good thing. But at the same time, if it opens the door for more teams to make deeper playoff runs, which if you make deeper playoff runs, your fans are going to be more engaged with the overall national title conversation. We saw that with Illinois State. Their fans are much more engaged now in the FCS nationally after getting the taste of the national championship game. So I do think it opens the door for a program like South Dakota, for UND, for UC Davis, Tarleton State while they're still in the FCS. It just opens the door for more teams, and the more success you have, the more fans you can get on board, the more sponsorships you can sell, the more tickets you can sell if you're a USD, for example. And, again, I'll just go back to the example of Illinois State. Since making the championship game, they've raised $3 million in donations just for their football program. So that is the pros of NDSU kind of moving out of the way. It allows other teams to take their place and make deep playoff runs. And it just creates overall better intrigue and excitement, a kind of breath of fresh air when it comes to the overall FCS national championship pursuit.
Yeah, that's interesting. It really does. More parity, not just a dominant program at the top. NDSU going to the Mountain West. Sam Herder on tonight. We'll talk to him again. HeroSports.com for the best coverage of the FCS. Sam, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Sam Herder in tonight. Find him on X. Follow him if you're not. Sam Herder FCS. They're on X. HeroSports.com, FCS senior analyst. All right. Jake Sorensen's waiting in the wings. He's the morning host on 93.7 The Ticket in Lincoln, Nebraska. And he's been talking to the former athletic director at Nebraska, Bill Moos. And Bill's been talking about Scott Frost. We'll discuss.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Show your home some love with an upgrade to Acclaim replacement windows and an ensemble entry door. Get 20% off windows and doors with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus, get an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Energy efficient, durable, and custom made for the perfect fit. It's time to show your home some love. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
River to West River. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
It is South Dakota Sports Talk Show, our official outfitter, Trav's Outfitter, new store in Rapid City on Campbell Street. Check them out online across the state, Trav'sOutfitter.com. Great place for work boots and Western boots. I'm telling you, that's the kind of place you go back to when it's time for the next pair. If you're on your feet all day, you need the right boots. Don't mess around. Staff knows work boots and Western boots is what they do. Comfort, support matter when you work for a living. So it's not about a quick sale there. They'll build a relationship. They'll get you into the right work boot, Western boot, the best brands, the best prices, the best service, best selection, best service, no BS. Family owned. Trav's Outfitter, Campbell Street, Rapid City. New store is awesome. Find them online, Trav'sOutfitter.com. Happy hour is coming up this next hour with Rob Kegron live in studio. It's a Thursday with Rob Kegron coming up. Jake Sorensen first. He hosts the morning show, Early Break, on 93.7 The Ticket. Great sports station out of Lincoln. And he's here on the Nate Brown Show. He's made some big news. Big news. They've had Bill Moose on, former AD at Nebraska, who has a new book out. Tell all. No, it's telling quite a bit. Jake, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing well, Nate. Thanks for having me on, as always.
Okay, I've been listening to you guys. You guys working through this whole thing, and Bill Moos, former Nebraska athletic director, releases a book this week and goes through quite a bit of his stuff at Nebraska. How intriguing has this been as you've talked to him and kind of picked this book up?
Well, very intriguing. Now, I would say this. Bill Moos was always a guy that was a good talker and somebody that you wanted to be a friend with. He's just somebody that if you just any other profession, you just think he's the nicest guy in the world and would be somebody you just want to be friends with or neighbors with. He's just that kind of guy. But he was at Nebraska from 2017 to 21, and yeah, he just wrote a book that's 700 pages long, kind of a life memoir, and he says that 60 of these 700 pages are dedicated to Nebraska. So all the stuff between the hiring of Scott Frost, now that went down to even the hiring of Fred Hoiberg and who he wanted that was not approved by the other regions and people above him at the university. It was a very interesting tale, and obviously there's two sides to all stories. We'll get all those stories when they come out. But in terms of his side, it's fascinating. It's really a lot of interesting stuff, and I look forward to reading more of the book as we get time to do so.
So he's been on your show, 93.7 The Ticket. Follow Jake on X at 937 Jake Sorensen. You can hear some of the excerpts from Bill Moos. He's been on Early Break with these guys. So his side of the story on a couple of big things I wanted you to read on. Scott Frost, he's like, well, okay, my choice was Chip Kelly. There was pushback there, so we went down the Scott Frost route. And then he wasn't impressed his first time meeting him, right? I thought that was interesting. Was that a low hit there on Scott, or what do you think?
Well, I would say so, certainly. And, Bill, again, like I said, there's two sides to all stories, and I'm sure Scott would have thoughts on it. But basically, in Bill Moos's side, he, like you said, Chip Kelly was his first choice. He was kind of steered toward Scott Frost. And don't forget, in 2017, that was a great name. Scott Frost, of course, the legendary quarterback at Nebraska, national champion from Wood River, middle of the state, and the fact that he was just completing an undefeated season at UCF, it made a lot of sense for him to be the guy, and that's why there's excitement in the fan base. But Bill Moos basically said that he sets up a private meeting in Philadelphia because UCF was playing a game at Temple, and mentions Matt Davison, a close friend of Scott Frost, of course, teammates back in the 90s. Matt's done a lot of stuff. Former commentator for Nebraska's football and basketball, certainly well known across the state. And basically, Bill Moos says that he had a meeting, and Scott Frost walked in basically in sweatpants and unshaven, and just seemed like he was really not serious about the position. And in Bill Moos's words, which he writes, and he confirmed when he came on the show with us, he said that when Scott Frost left the room, his wife closed the door because Bill Moos's wife was in the room, Kendra, and she said, "You can't hire that guy. He's not mature enough." And it just ended up that Nebraska hired him. Of course, the rest is history. But according to his side and his wife, they saw this not going well off the bat. And you can say, well, okay, how did you let it slide for 4 or 5 years? And that's a good follow-up. But that's at least his side of the story and how things came together with Frost in Nebraska.
Okay, I just want to make sure Jake Sorensen's not going out to meet a new client in sweatpants, right? I mean, you can't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay, all right. By the way, he's on the road. He's getting ready to play, right? He's probably got some Nebraska, well, I guess not, UCF gear on. So, I mean, maybe he just didn't have a nice suit. What's he supposed to go and rent a suit?
I don't know. That's good. That's why there's two sides to all stories, Nate. I appreciate that side from you.
All right. I'm just trying to figure this one out. By the way, Scott Frost, not the only guy talked about. It was the basketball side. Tim Miles let go. He wasn't going to go Fred Hoiberg, and Hoiberg's now got this program, as you and I have talked about, rolling. He was going to go Dana Altman, another Nebraska guy. Why don't you think Nebraska wanted Altman, according to Moose?
Well, I'll tell his story in terms of what he said. That he basically the gist of all this, Nate, is that I'll go. On this. He says that the AD at most places, and stops in Oregon and Washington State, is kind of the end all be all when it comes to hiring a coach. Yes, there's feedback from the chancellor, the president, and anybody involved. But his take about Nebraska is that there's too many cooks in the kitchen in terms of who's involved in hiring. He mentioned that Scott Frost got an extension that he did not know about that was done by, at the time, Chancellor Ronnie Green before Nebraska played Ohio State in 2019. He said, that's news to me. I'm the AD. You would think that'd come from me. So that was the gist of all this. But going back to the basketball hire, yeah, he wanted Dana Altman, and it makes sense. And Dana Altman, for those who don't know, is from Wilbur, Nebraska, which is 20 minutes away from Lincoln. I mean, you can't get closer than that if you tried in terms of a town near Lincoln. Of course, longtime coach at Creighton. And Bill Moose, again, his words, he says that he was pulled aside by, at the time, a regent, now governor of Nebraska, Jim Pillen, who said you can't hire Dana Altman. He says, well, why not? He says Nebraska fans won't go for it. Bill Moose says, well, why not? He's from Wilbur. That's about as Nebraska as it gets. And he said, well, he's a former Creighton coach, and Nebraska fans won't stand for it. So it's interesting how the governor now, who was then a regent, gets pulled into all this and is basically getting partial blame for why he wasn't hired. And now it's funny, like you mentioned, the fact that Fred's winning. But we know the first couple of years Dana was doing well at Oregon and Fred wasn't. So it was a more interesting story. Now it's worked out for the Huskers. But it's a fascinating story about, again, like I said, too many cooks in the kitchen, who's actually in charge and who has final say. And Bill Moose makes it sound like he didn't have much of a final say. He was just kind of hired to make these hires that these guys wanted.
Do you think Troy Dannon's dealing with that, the AD right now? How do you think the dynamic is now? Do we know?
Well, I would say so. I don't think that Troy Dannon, I guess it's this assumption here, I know for sure. I don't think Troy was probably told, was informed that there is going to be an extension for Matt Rule. I think he did make that choice by himself, and that certainly does not look great right now at the moment for how the Nebraska finished off the year in November and then the bowl game against Utah in Vegas. Now you're tied into more of a buyout in the longer term for a guy that's 19-19 in Nebraska, which, oh, by the way, is the same record that Mike Riley had in 3 years and was fired in 2017 at the end of the year. So, yeah, I do think, Nate, it is still a problem. I don't think it affected the way that Matt Rule's extension was handled. Like that was probably all Troy Dannon, but that doesn't look great. So it feels like Nebraska athletics are, despite the success of volleyball and basketball right now and baseball to a certain extent and softball, it's kind of a mess, even despite those teams having success.
Very interesting interviews with Bill Moose on Jake Sorensen's show down there, early break, 93.7 The Ticket out of Lincoln. Bill Moose's new book's out this week. It's called Crab Creek Chronicles, the former AD at Nebraska. Some interesting stories in there about his time with the Huskers. Jake, good to have you, man. I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
You bet. Thanks, Nate.
Thanks a lot. Jake Sorensen, good breakdown. Follow him at 937 Jake Sorensen, and he's on 93.7 The Ticket in Lincoln. And he's here on the Nate Brown Show tonight. Appreciate his perspective. They did a good job talking to Bill Moose. Should I try and get Bill? Whenever you got a book, you might want to go on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. We shall see. What else could we find out, Bill? In the Crab Creek Chronicles. I'm going to do my own book. The Youth Basketball Chronicles of Rapid City. Dicey. All right. Rob Kegron's ready. Rob, are you ready? It's a Thursday happy hour. You're not going to believe what I was told on this show last night about the Vikings moving forward. Can we believe this? We'll start there next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Text scams continue to rise, and victims who have lost money to these scams continues to increase. Consumers cannot rely on a text message to be truthful. If you receive a message regarding a fine for missing jury duty, your utilities being shut off for non-payment, toll road fines, or you've won a sweepstakes, these are scams designed with an urgency and the need to send money now. Do not respond to these texts, and you should contact Consumer Protection at 800-300-1986. That's 800-300-1986 for the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division.
Could there be a better name? Auto Value Parts Stores. They aren't just about air fresheners or fuzzy dice. Auto Value Parts Stores are all about parts, auto parts, and advice. Pros who know auto parts with tons of tips when you need them the most. You want real value? Don't go to a place with a cute name. Go to Auto Value. Could there be a better name? I didn't think so. Your Auto Value Parts Store. We've got the parts, we've got the smarts.
At Spearfish GMC Cadillac, we know spring is right around the corner, but the deals this month are already hot. Right now, drive home a GMC Sierra 1500 with up to $6,250 in total savings, or choose 0% financing for 36 months. Sierra HDs with savings up to $2,500, plus just announced $1,000 bonus cash on GMC Terrain, or drive home a new Acadia with special APR as low as 1.9%. Shop anytime at SpearfishMotors.com. Spearfish GMC Cadillac. We are professional grade.
As we kick off the new year and you think about new opportunities in 2026, Lee Cruz with New York Life Insurance Company in Rapid City is ready to help you and your family protect your financial future. Nobody knows what life will bring, and that's why it's so important to have life insurance in place. And Lee Cruz is a local guy that will help set up the right policy that fits your needs and budget. Just take 10 minutes, protect your family with life insurance. Google Lee Cruz New York Life. That's Lee Cruz at 605-360-8804.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
At Connect Home Center, they've been a part of the Mead Lumber family since 2000. Now, they're bringing everything together under one trusted name, Mead Lumber. Don't worry, your favorite team, great service, and high-quality products aren't going anywhere. Connect Home Center is becoming Mead Lumber. Same people, same service, just a new name. From design to finish, here for you every step of the way. Check them out at meadlumber.com.
Chatting with Brian at Anytime Auto Sales. Winter is here. And as always, we're here to help with all your winter automotive needs. From mobile oil changes to around the wheel and under the hood repairs, we fix most everything, and we'll do it at an affordable price.
What about tires, batteries, and brakes?
Absolutely. With over 50 brand name tires, we have deals as good as anywhere. 10% off our Duralast Pro Power Ultra batteries, a 5-year battery with roadside assistance, and flat out the best brake deal around at just $399 per axle with new pads, rotors, labor, and a lifetime warranty for most vehicles.
Fantastic. And if people need financing, can you help there?
Yes, we can. We offer the AutoPass card, an interest-free card for 6 months on every repair over $199, which saves a lot of people who need immediate help with repairs. Get an answer in minutes from our homepage at anytimeanytime.com. Just click the AutoPass Apply Now button.
Take advantage of that card, people. See anytimeanytime.com. And, of course, at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales. One more time.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, glad you're here every day. We appreciate you. The Nate Brown Show live, Fox Sports Radio, KWSN Sioux Falls, and Fox Sports Rapid City. We are on tonight, Thursday happy hour. It's upon us. We're ready. Rob Kegron's live in studio. I appreciate you making us part of your day. The Nate Brown Show, powered by Black Hills Federal Credit Union, my family's banking partner. I want you to know, being a member at BHFCU has been the best choice, no doubt, from great rates, personal, business, mobile banking on my phone. I've got their app right here. Makes it really convenient, saves you a ton of time. Glad I switched from my last bank. Get a bank that works for you. It's really, really good. 18 locations across South Dakota, from the Black Hills to Sioux Falls, helping you from personal to business banking. Give them a shot. Become a member at Black Hills Federal Credit Union. Get started right now, bhfcu.com. I know you think, oh, it's a pain to switch stuff over. It's worth it. bhfcu.com. Start there. Thursday happy hour is upon us, Rob, and I'll tell you, I had a big announcement on the show last night. I had a Minnesota Vikings analyst on from the Twin Cities, and I asked him, what are the Vikings going to do at quarterback? Everybody wants to, throw this around, and it's fun to talk about it. It's real cute. What are the Vikings going to do at quarterback? And he said, I think it's probably going to make sense to bring back Kirk Cousins. And somebody just, swerved their car. I mean, be careful out there. Be careful. What say you? Probably makes sense to bring back Kirk Cousins. It's my question of the day. Should Vikings fans go with that?
No, they should not, Nate. Number one, I don't know who the analyst was. I'm curious. You're going to have to tell me what his reasoning was, but it doesn't make any sense to me at all to bring in a 37-year-old quarterback who was there, certainly had some level of success for sure with Minnesota, but that's a few years ago now removed. And at 37 years of age, we did watch him play a lot down the stretch when Penix got hurt, and he had his moments. There's no doubt. He had a few games where he was really good, but he looked like a 37-year-old quarterback, right? And Kirk Cousins was not Mr. Mobility at 32 and 31 when he signed whatever age he was when he signed the contract, the big contract with the Vikings. So to put a 37-year-old guy in there who is going to, I assume the idea is give some competition for J.J. McCarthy in camp, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. Like, I've been a proponent, you know this, listeners know this, I've been a proponent of giving J.J. another year. If you're going to say that we don't want to do that, you don't bring in a 37-year-old guy. You got to bring in some other kind of vet who, you love him, someone a la Sam Darnold, who's probably had a stop or two, but still has, a little bit of runway ahead of them.
Okay, so this analyst, Thor Nystrom, by the way, shout out Thor.
All right, I know who Thor is, for sure.
Thor said, here's why they could do this. You need somebody that's going to be a good teammate. And they said Kirk's going to be that guy. He showed he was in Atlanta for the most part when he went down there, was going to be the starter. Turned out not. They kind of, went backdoor on him, and he ended up being fine, staying with it, being a good teammate. He said he'd do that in Minnesota because you can't bring somebody in that's going to then lose the competition to J.J. McCarthy and then pout and be a problem and think, I should have been the starter. I got to be the guy. So he said that's the needle they got to thread. That's Kirk Cousins. And then he pointed to what you said. Down the stretch, pretty good games. He can still play. Minnesota fans, I think, will accept him. It's not like it ended great last time, but they'll accept him. So it's that perfect model. He said you can't bring in somebody for a competition, and then that guy loses, and now he's mad like Mac Jones.
And I get that point. And I think the point or the position of he's going to be a great teammate, he's going to play ball. He's not going to be this, kind of destructive force in the locker room or in the quarterback's room. I get that. But again, the Darnold thing, and you know what I think about Darnold, but at the very least, when you brought him in, there was some level of a ceiling, right? He was a number 3 overall pick. He had some bad runs at a couple of different places, but you knew that there could be, if everything struck right, maybe it would work. It certainly did. What is the ceiling for a 37-year-old Kirk Cousins?
Not much.
Right. And let's be fair, Nate, right? He's never won a playoff game, correct?
Yeah, I think that's still right.
Maybe I don't think he's won one. Maybe he won one
with Washington.
Maybe won one, but I don't think he's ever won a playoff game. If anything, he's won one. What now makes us think at 37 years of age that this gives us a better chance to win a playoff game? And if you can't say that we have a better chance to do that, then why would you do it?
Well, here's the thing. I'm with you on this. I am with you. I kind of was like, wait, he's serious. He said Kirk Cousins is a guy they're going to look at because of just the scenario it's playing out. And I said, well, why don't you get serious and bring somebody else in like Kyler Murray? I mean, that's who I would bring in. I want somebody serious. They're really just saying, Rob, hey, we're destined to let JJ do this. We're going to find out if JJ can play at all. And if he can't, we'll start over. And so they're just willing to bag another year. And they're willing to say, we'll throw Kirk in there and see what happens. If JJ's a flop, we'll at least have Kirk. He can do something, and then we'll start over again. And I think that's a defeatist attitude.
Well, again, the other problem I have with it, Nate, is if you go down that road, what are you asking for? Mediocrity again.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Which is literally the abyss in the National Football League. If McCarthy can't handle it and he flops next year, you don't want to win the games, folks. I know people don't like talking like this.
Yeah, but they try winning. You know everybody does it. They all do it. You guys did it in New York. You did it.
I get it, but let him flop then. Why go put Kirk Cousins in so you can be 8-9 again and then have no opportunity to draft a guy, right? Like the Raiders were so bad this year that they're going to get a number 1 pick, right? They can draft a quarterback. That, unfortunately, that is generally the way to getting out of that abyss. Now, it doesn't have to be the number 1 pick, but it certainly has to be top 5, top 10.
Top 10, yes.
Right? No worse than that. I could understand, like, if there was a guy that O'Connell really loved who could either be traded for or, got on the open market, a Kyler Murray, a Tua, and I'm not saying that those guys are solutions, but O'Connell is a quarterback expert, right? If he saw a guy that he really liked and said, guys, we got to go down this path, I'm not sure on McCarthy based on health, based on performance, I could understand that kind of move. But taking a 30, and again, I keep harping on the age, Tom Brady's are rare, folks, right? I mean, like, guys don't play into their 40s that well. I mean, Stafford, who just had an MVP season, likely is going into his last year. I don't think he'll play more than 1 or maybe 2 more years, and he's 37, 38 years old. So to say that we're going to kind of reset with a 37-year-old guy, I think that is more pointless than anything else. I'd go take a flyer, like you said, on Kyler Murray before I would do the Kirk Cousins.
I would, and I'm surprised. I've got Vikings fans chiming in on our text. So if you want to text us on this, I would appreciate that. What should Vikings fans think about a possible reunion with Kirk Cousins? It's really being talked about. I don't know if they'll do it. Obviously, they're going to have to figure something out. Who are they going to do at quarterback besides J.J. McCarthy? What do Vikings fans think about a possible reunion with Kirk Cousins? That's our question of the day on the Nate Brown Show. Rob Tegron's in studio. Answer it. We'll throw you in the drawing for the free buffet to the Pizza Ranch location in Brandon and East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. 605-720-1067. Hit us on the text line. What do Vikings fans think about a possible reunion with Kirk Cousins? Do you know what the poll says right now? I can't believe it. I mean, I'm surprised by this. 51%, Kirk Cousins, not a bad option. 49%, please no. It's split. Not a bad option. 51%.
Not a bad option for what? I mean, to do what? You're not winning a Super Bowl, guys, with Kirk Cousins. Right? Is that not the ultimate goal? Why do anything that doesn't at least, if everything worked out perfectly, you still wouldn't win the Super Bowl with Cousins. With a couple of these other guys, I don't think so either, but at least there's a ceiling enough that maybe it could happen.
Yeah, there's some intrigue. I mean, it's got to be some intrigue, hey, what's next? Can we do this? Because if you see J.J. McCarthy starting to struggle again, they're going to get restless, and then at least you'd have somebody that you could throw in instead of just Kirk Cousins. What's going to happen if we're watching Kirk Cousins in Week 7 next year?
I am going to be floored, to be quite honest. And actually, I think Cousins is going to have a couple opportunities with other teams. And I could see him going, even though he'd feel comfortable in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you go to a place where you know you're probably going to be the starter?
Well, maybe. Maybe he wants to. He's played that game before and it didn't work out in Atlanta. You tell us, guys. The Vikings' possible reunion with Kirk Cousins, how do you feel? 605-720-1067. We'll read a couple. Listener text, Vikings need to burn it all down to the ground and just start over. Well, they'll give JJ, here's what's going to happen. JJ's got another year. They're going to do it, no doubt, and he's going to play a ton unless he gets hurt all the time. Then that 2027 draft class is going to be the reset.
Yes.
If JJ's not the guy, they reset. They got a bunch of QBs in the 2027, like Arch Manning. Oh, man, he's going to be great, isn't he? Yeah, just wait for that. Lister text coming in. Vikings should go after Phillip Rivers. Why not? Okay, all right.
Wow, older than Cousins.
Lister text. Cousins is just an unimproved Wentz. Or no, Cousins is just an improved Wentz. It's comfortable. But they need a dude, he says. He's an improved Carson Wentz. Yes, that's right.
Cousins is not a bad quarterback by any means. He's had some great years. I just don't get at his age why that would be our number one option.
I can't do it. I'm the vice president of the Kirk Cousins fan club. I've been that way for the last 5 years. The chapter folded once he went to Atlanta and kind of fell off the wagon, but I can't even do it. I'm not going to revive the Kirk Cousins fan club. I'm done. I can't do it.
I don't blame you. I can't blame you at all. I mean, that is just, to me, it's like kind of like running in place rather than running forward.
Lister text, Kirk Cousins is statistically the best QB the Vikings have had, and it isn't close, he said.
No, and he's
that's why I was the vice president of the fan club.
He had great stats. There's no doubt about it. And he was great at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock games, whatever.
Oh, come on.
I'd say 1 o'clock because I'm still an East Coast guy. But once the primetime lights were on, poof.
Is there any Vikings quarterback that you can give credit to? Can you please give a credit to any Vikings QB?
Randall Cunningham. I'll even give a little credit to Dante Culpepper.
Oh, okay. All right.
Both of those. Oh,
all right.
Actually, I'll date myself big time. Fran Tarkenton.
Oh, there you go.
Excellent Minnesota Vikings quarterback.
All right.
There you go, Vikings fans.
I appreciate that. We're going to talk about Rob Kagron's QB tonight. This is going to be a fun discussion. Not yet. I want to get to our other question of the day. We threw this out there in the first hour. Let's bring it back here if you're just joining us. Is the younger generation as passionate about sports as me and Rob? Next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Show your home some love with an upgrade to Acclaim replacement windows and an ensemble entry door. Get 20% off windows and doors with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus, get an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Energy efficient, durable, and custom made for the perfect fit. It's time to show your home some love. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps 1 minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
From Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's Sports Talk.
Welcome back in. The Nate Brown Show is live tonight. Glad you're here. Half an hour left. Let's do it up, man. Let's get after it. Thursday happy hour. Rob Kegron's in studio live on Fox Sports Radio, KWSN Sioux Falls and Fox Sports Rapid City. We got to get to this question that I have for Rob tonight. It's the only time we'll get to talk about Jackson Dart. I mean, you're not going to hear a lot of Jackson Dart on this show until he does something and we actually get closer to football. But we'll get to I got a nice question involving Jackson Dart and the upcoming season. First, I want to go to the text line here. We had a listener text saying instead of Kirk Cousins, they should see if they can get Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to go in there and compete with JJ. As soon as JJ beats him and, you know, the alter ego, JJ is the man, then the darkness man, Aaron, will pout and he'll cry and he'll turn that whole organization upside down.
Well, I'm not sure about all that, Nate, but for sure if you bring in Aaron Rodgers, he's the starter. JJ McCarthy is not.
That's why. So You're not going to go Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins, what do you guys say if they went with Kirk Cousins? 51% of the Vikings fans would be willing to do it. I'm surprised.
I'm shocked. I really am. I just, it's so uninspiring to go backwards like that to a guy who left you 2 years ago and has only aged since.
Okay, let's get to this topic. So there's a poll out this week after the Super Bowl, and it asks generations. It's a nationwide poll, Morning Consult. They did this poll. It asked generations, are you an avid sports fan? So this was perfect, and I saw this from the Associated Press. I'm like, okay, so Gen Z is the late 90s into the 2000s. So these are, I mean, me and you are old compared to that, right? Yep. We have kids, born in this. So late 90s to the 2000s, that's Gen Z. So the younger generation, those are the young folks. 20% of them said they are avid sports fans.
Wow, it's low.
I mean, that's a low number.
Very low.
20%. So I asked this question tonight. Is that accurate? I mean, any poll is a poll, but are the younger generations as passionate about sports as you and I? Do they just follow it differently? And that's what I'm wondering tonight.
Well, I do think they follow it differently, which I do think also equates to a lack of passion, right? I think it's probably just systemic now, essentially, when we compare generations of and this is not to be the old man on the lawn, but things were just more difficult when you and I grew up, right? It was to follow sports was a real effort, right? Like, yeah. And so there automatically you had to be, if you wanted to watch sports, follow sports, you had to have a passion, right? Like, I mean, I grew up without internet until I was, in high school, essentially, right? Like, there was no way to find the scores until the ESPN came up with a ticker, right?
Right.
It was just being able to follow sports took such an effort that if you were going to put that much effort into anything, it had to reflect a huge level of passion. And the fact that everything is at young people's fingertips right now, I think it equates to they like it. They're just not as passionate as you and I are.
But here's what also we had to do. Here's what we did. I watched WGN. I couldn't wait for the Bulls games on WGN with Red Kerr and these guys. I mean, I waited for those games. I assume the same with you. You could watch the New York Knicks right there. I mean, you had to watch those games. You couldn't pick up your phone and say, I'll check the highlights tonight.
That's a great point, Nate. And I was thinking about that earlier today when I knew you were going to discuss this. How easy it is to find out what happened or just to have the game condensed for you within like a 2 or 3 minute highlight package. That goes a long way to making it so easy for them that they're not as passionate. You're right. Like, think about you grew up watching those Bulls games. I grew up watching Knicks games. Those games in the mid-'90s, right, when it was Jordan against Ewing.
Couldn't miss them.
You could not miss these games. The NBA on NBC, like, I would be glued to my television for as long as I possibly could be. And I lived and died with every one of those moments, every one of those games that were so pivotal in kind of like supporting and developing, cultivating a fandom.
So here's the other stat. The Gen Zers, these are the young folks, 20% say they're avid sports fans. 53% of them say they get their sports from social media.
Yeah.
I was like, we get our sports from social media? That's how we get it?
Yeah, I don't get that at all, because what makes sports so great is the essence that they are live. We don't know what is going to happen. It's like, the Olympics are going on right now, and there's this 8-hour time difference from here to Milan, Italy. You go on social media at all during the day, you find out exactly what happened. It's like, I don't like that about sport. I want to know, I want to watch this sporting event without knowing what has already happened. And if you're following it on social media, you already know what's happened. You're just getting some highlights.
So I do believe now, how do we equate this? More and more people are engaged with sports than ever before. Record college football, record NFL. Sports, live sports is the only thing that gets media rights money from these media companies. So more people than ever are watching sports, yet we're trying to say some of the younger folks aren't as passionate. Well, that's kind of what we're saying.
They're not, because a lot of times people are watching, though, not for passion for the sport or for the team. Let's be honest, a lot of this has to do with fantasy and gambling, right? Like the Super Bowl rating just came out the other day, right? I thought it would be way down. It was only marginally down from last year. It was still like the second highest rated Super Bowl ever. Who's watching the game in the fourth quarter? I was. Now I was going to watch one way or the other, but a lot of people were watching because they had something on the line, right? The game was a clunker. It stunk. But people have these rooting interests. Now, you and I grew up rooting for jerseys. And I still, to this day, even though I'm older now, I still root for the jersey. I'm a New York Giant fan, a New York Knicks fan, a San Francisco Giant fan, a New York Ranger fan. That's what was important to me. Young people now, they either pick a player or they pick their fantasy team, and that's what they root for.
Or they bet, and they just root for their bet.
And when you jump between bet to bet and team to team based on what you're betting on, automatically you're not as passionate. There's just no way that can be.
That is right. You're passionate about something, but it's not, I'm rooting for this team.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We had a couple of texts come in just as we were discussing that. It's because of betting, the different passion. It's because of betting. And another one, younger generations passionate about sports, betting, not the games themselves. That's a couple of different people that have sent those in. Let's see here. We've had some young people check in to the show, and they've said they're 22, 23, 24. We got some.
Yeah.
We're hip here, man. We got some young people listening to this. By the way, here's another one. Gen Zers want to be YouTubers and stuff. Millennials like me wanted to be Michael Jordan. That's how he said the young people want to be YouTubers and the social media and the influencers. Me and you wanted to be Michael Jordan. You wanted to be John Starks, but you never quite made it.
I could have shot 2 for 17 in a Game 7, I'll tell you that.
I get that. I see what he's saying right there, and that is true. Sports was where it was all at. 20% of young people are avid sports fans. That poll did not ask, do you like sports gambling? Do you like this? They say they're avid sports fans, 20%, yet sports setting records as people watch it. A quick timeout. Big question for Rob Kagron's quarterback. His name is Jackson Dart. And how good do we expect him to be compared to this big name coming into the league next year?
This is the Nate Brown.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
Show your home some love with an upgrade to Acclaim replacement windows and an ensemble entry door. Get 20% off windows and doors with no money down, no interest, and no payments for 12 months. Plus, get an extra 5% off the entire project if purchased on initial consultation. Energy efficient, durable, and custom made for the perfect fit. It's time to show your home some love. Call today or visit RBARapidCity.com to book your free estimate.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait? There's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute, and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
On YouTube.
All right, welcome back in South Dakota Sports Talk Show live, Fox Sports Radio, The Nate Brown Show. Glad you're here. If you missed parts of the show from high school to college to the pros, some great guests across the board. We've had a fun week so far. Go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. We had John Shemelon, USD Athletic Director. Good perspective from him on the NDSU jump and the whole thing. Had the new football coach at USD on yesterday in his first interview since being hired, Matt Vitsom, head coach for the Yotes, on yesterday. Go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. It's available. Search The Nate Brown Show, and you've got us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast. Rob Kegron is live in studio. You got what a big sports weekend this weekend. What do we got? You know what's happening this weekend, right?
Pebble Beach, the golf tournament in Pebble Beach. That's what I'll be watching. What else is happening? Well,
what's basketball. What's happening? It's the NBA All-Star game. How can you forget? How can you forget?
You could not pay me enough to watch that game.
Oh, come on. It's going to be different. They're going to have some international players against USA players.
You know what won't be different? They still won't play any defense in the All-Star game.
By the way, we got a listener text in here. Is this going to be the last season for LeBron James? A question from a listener. Is this it for LeBron James, or should it be?
I think he'll give it one more go. I think
You do?
I think he'll have one more year, whether it be Los Angeles. I wouldn't be shocked if he went back to Cleveland one more time.
Oh, come on.
I would not be. Would you be shocked if he did that? Give it one more run with Cleveland? I mean, they have a decent team, Cleveland. You know, you add him in.
He's going to leave Bronny? He's going to leave Bronny in L.A.?
Well, he should. I mean, he's going to have to leave him eventually, and Bronny's not going to get any minutes anyway. I just think, and not that I don't think LeBron's looking for the fanfare of having his final season. I do think he shows that he's competitive enough, and certainly when he's healthy, good enough to still compete. I could see him doing one more year somewhere.
I'm kind of trying to figure that out myself. I watch a lot of NBA. Lakers, he just said, well, we're not good enough to win, this title this year. It just doesn't feel like LeBron's doing. You know what LeBron is, right? This is a look at me guy. This is a look at me. It feels like he's not doing the look at me. This is my last year. It does not feel like that, right?
No, definitely not. And I think he would have at the very least let it leak out a little bit that this is where he was leaning. Not for the fanfare, but for the look at me, just like what you're describing.
I mean, he's not going to just go out with a whimper like, oh, LeBron's all of a sudden retired. What?
Yeah, I would be really surprised. I think he'll give it one more go.
Here we go. Let's go from old to new. Who is going to have the best season of the NFL next year? I don't know how I came up with this. Rob Kegron comes in, and I think, Well, just weird questions pop into my head about New York Football Giant players like Jackson Dart. Who would you say? Because you need a good year from Jackson Dart. You got Harbaugh. This is the revival. Jackson Dart, second year. Who has a better season, Jackson Dart or the number 1 pick, Fernando Mendoza? I'm telling you, he's going to the Raiders. Clint Kubiak better not mess that up. Mendoza or Dart? They weren't even close in college, so be careful as you say this. Weren't even close.
Okay, but let's be fair. Dart has 1 year under his belt.
Yeah.
He has...
It was a good year, too.
It was decent. It wasn't terrible. You make it like it was so bad.
Oh, it's bad.
Who had a better year, J.J. McCarthy or Jackson Dart?
J.J. was hurt
What's
the whole
second
time.
pick? They drafted him at like 26 or 25.
No, I'm saying they were so bad they still get a high pick here.
Well, he was hurt for a good part of the year as well. He also lost neighbors, right? Who's going to have a better year? Dart is going to have a better year unquestionably for a number of reasons. Number one, look at the coaching staff, right? Just forget Harbaugh, who absolutely gives them credibility right away. Then you have three guys who were offensive coordinators / head coaches. Nagy, Brian Callahan, Greg Roman.
Oh, boy.
Right? Well, they have a lot of experience. Let's say that.
A lot
right?
of cooks in the kitchen
A
there.
lot of experience. You got that. He has a better number 1 wide receiver, Neighbors. In all likelihood, they're going to draft someone at 5 as an offensive target. And Mendoza, who I do think will be a good NFL quarterback, but you're asking for next year.
Yes, for next year.
For next year, I think it's going to take Mendoza a little bit of time to get up with the NFL game. You know, he played great, obviously, in Indiana, and you love his moxie. You love how, particularly in that championship game, how courageous he was. But he did play a fairly simple offense. And, you know, I don't want to get into all the nuts and bolts, but very simple. You know, he has one read of the defense and that's it. You know this better than anyone, Nate. You can't do that in the NFL, right? Defensive coordinators are going to keep throwing stuff at you to confuse you. And I think it's just going to take him a little bit of time. I think he'll get there. He's a smart guy. But for next year, Dart with 1 year under his belt and with better weapons, too. Let's be fair. Who's he throwing to other than Brock Bowers? Who's he throwing to?
That's a big one. So I'll take Bowers, and then I'll take Genty in the ground game. They'll go out and get a wide receiver. The Raiders and Clint Kubiak, one of the best play callers. You see what Kubiak did with our boy Sam Darnold. Kubiak, Mendoza, Bowers, Genty. And you're trying to tell me Jackson Dart and Neighbors are going to light it up?
Well, Neighbors is great. You're selling Neighbors way short there. Bowers is an excellent
Neighbors
tight end.
is a head case, and as soon as he doesn't start getting the ball all the time, he's going to be just like a lot of these guys.
Which wide receiver isn't a head case? Now, which number
Bowers.
one is it?
Bowers,
He's
the
not a
tight
wide
end.
receiver. He's
Yeah,
a tight
but
end.
He's a great teammate.
I get it, and I agree with you. But which number 1 wide receiver isn't a head case? They all have that level of.
You're going deep on Dart because this is going up against the number 1 pick here. You're trying to tell me Jackson Dart's going to be better than the number 1 pick in the NFL?
Shall we go down the line of number 1 picks that either didn't do well at all or at the very least struggled in their first year, i.e. Peyton Manning, who had the record for most interceptions, right? It's a tough adjustment from the college game to the NFL, and I think it's even tougher now compared to what it was, say, when Peyton came in the league, right? Because they're running very different kinds of offenses. Again, I am bullish on Mendoza, and I do think he will be good. But for next year, I think it's going to take him a while to get his sea legs.
Okay, so Jackson Dart's going to... You're still high on Dart. It's amazing. I mean, this is Dart's on the verge here of being J.J. McCarthy.
No.
Dart is on the verge. He has a bad year next year. Yeah, he's that third year, you're starting to go, oh, boy. Let's take a look again.
He had a number of very good games this year. I'm not gonna go down this path of J.J. McCarthy. I'd be worried about the injuries like McCarthy.
Yes,
but if he stays healthy, I think he's gonna give him. I'm not promising 12 wins, guys, but I think he's gonna have a better year than Mendoza.
I know that Mendoza's got the intangibles, the character, the work ethic, the smarts. I mean, he's a winner. He's got a pedigree. He's not losing to teams like Florida, in his college career. So I'm going Mendoza. Let's throw it out to the listener. Who's going to have the better year? Fernando Mendoza, number 1 pick. I'm saying he's going to the Raiders. Or Jackson Dart with the New York Football Giants. Who's going to have a better year? Listener text coming in. We got some early here. Mendoza might get sacked 80 times.
Ooh. That would be a record for sure.
Well, I will say this. Now, let's be careful. I mean, you guys, let's remember this. This is February, so we'll be coming all the way back here. The AFC West is the real deal.
Yep.
So that impacts Mendoza. You got Jackson Dart over there. That's That's easy sailing. That's
the Eagles are a good team. The Eagles aren't a good team.
Yeah, I mean, they're average.
They're
a little above average. A little above.
Yeah, Washington is average. Dallas is average.
My goodness, that's a cakewalk.
There's no doubt about it. The AFC West is a better division than the NFC East. I'll give you that for sure. But we're not the NFC South, let's be fair, or the AFC South.
By the way, I don't know why I did this. I just served myself up for cheering for a Raiders quarterback.
Crazy.
I mean, I want Mendoza to do well, and he's going to go to the Raiders. Yeah, it's going to be a tough season for me. Lister text coming in, nothing survives in the Raiders culture.
Well, I think they're changing that culture a little bit. And again, Mark Davis is a problem, but you do have Brady there. I think the culture's starting to change.
Best text of the night before our next break. Lister text, Dart reminds me of Johnny Manziel.
Oh, no.
Yes. That's
no,
close.
He's not a head case like Manziel is. Manziel was self-destructive. Dart is not that. Let's be fair.
Dart's he's similar.
It's not self-destructive.
You'd see him out there doing he'd have the money. He'd do that. You'd see him out there at the club. Not bad. Not bad. Not a bad comparison. Hey, wrapping up the show next, is this a bad look or not for Nebraska's former AD to have this new book out and what he's saying in it? It's interesting. We'll discuss as we wrap up next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
From gooey grilled cheese sandwiches on Dakota-style 12-grain to peanut butter and jelly on Kids' Choice soft white bread. Kids of all ages want simple, comforting food that remind them of mom's home cooking. Country Hearth was born from that nostalgia and commitment to simplicity. Baked locally using natural ingredients like whole grains and honey, our breads are delivered fresh daily to grocery stores throughout the Midwest. Country Hearth Breads, baking our best for you.
Inheritance, romance, and investment scams continue to plague South Dakotans with high dollar amount losses. They prey on vulnerable adults and swindle consumers out of their funds. Scammers befriend the victim, making it difficult for them to see the reality of what's happening. If you have a loved one susceptible to this type of scam, sit down and talk with them about these issues before it happens to them. If you or a loved one have been scammed in this manner, please reach out to the South Dakota Office of Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at 800-300-1986.
Buying a pre-owned vehicle is a big decision, and where you buy it matters. That's why at Spearfish Motors, we don't shop car auctions. We keep it local. Our pre-owned vehicles come from trades with people right here in our communities, so you know what you're driving and where it came from. That's locally sourced, the Spearfish way. See us today at Spearfish GMC Cadillac, or shop a great selection of clean and inspected local trades at spearfishmotors.com.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Lows level off around 30 tonight under mainly clear skies, west winds around 5 miles per hour. Highs level off around 58 tomorrow, mainly sunny. Clear skies tomorrow night 31. Mainly sunny skies Saturday with daytime highs approaching 57, 62 Sunday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Right now, it's 48 degrees.
Whether you're a pro or a Joe, a weekend warrior or a gardening great, Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is here when you need us. Nobody plans an injury, but when people throughout the Black Hills and beyond suffer a setback, Monument Health Orthopedics is here to provide comprehensive medical care. Our team of board-certified orthopedic surgeons and specialists is dedicated to helping patients regain the quality of life they've lost due to an injury, arthritis, or joint wear and tear. Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for everyday athletes like you.
Ready to be part of something big? Meet the Rapid City Sports Commission, the powerhouse behind sports in Rapid City. The commission focuses on bringing regional and national tournaments, supporting homegrown events, and creating opportunities for our kids. But it's not just games, it's a win-win for all of us. Youth sports fuel our economy. Hosting events in Rapid City means out-of-town families shop, dine, and stay with us, which boosts sales tax revenues too. To get in on the action, visit rcsportscommission.com, where we're all about the hustle.
And 200, 2 and a quarter, 2 to the bid, 20 bomb, 50, want to get 250 here, no 75, 275 now, 3.
Hi, folks. Kevin McPherson Auction Company. We can turn your property to cash. We can sell your personal property and your real estate at auction. A family business for 64 years and counting. We've sold several millions of dollars in property over the years. We're happy to consult with you on your auction plans. Let our selling experience work for you. Call McPherson Auction, 605-348-1369. Visit us on our web at McPhersonAuction.com.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
All right, busy night tonight. The Nate Brown Show on with Rob Kagron live in studio Thursday. Happy hour. Go to the podcast for every part of the show if you missed it. Good stuff tonight. Thanks for being here. Quick hitters, we wrap up. So I hit this last night. Nebraska AD, he was there. Bill Moose hired Scott Frost, hired Fred Hoiberg. Scott Frost didn't work out. Bill Moose is writing a new book. It's coming out this week. He said Scott Frost came into his first meeting with Bill Moose to get the job in sweats and unshaven. Sweats, and so he's telling this tell-all, well, it wasn't my first choice and all of this and that. Good look or bad look, or I guess just a book?
It's a bad look for Nebraska. I'm not sure it's a bad look for Bill Moose. I mean, I don't have any problem with him airing some dirty laundry.
You don't.
No, why? That's what makes for interesting books, right? If you don't have any juicy stories, why are you writing the book in the first place? And the fact of the matter is, I've read excerpts, and they clearly pressured him into hiring Frost.
Okay, it's good to know when Rob Kagron leaves this show. What type of book is he going to write?
Oh, boy. If they only knew.
This will be a really interesting book.
A lot of chapters about Matt Kearney, I'll tell you that.
I will keep that in mind as we move forward. For Rob Kagron, the Nate Brown Show in the books. We are back next week. Have a great weekend. See ya.
At Dakota Bank, we're more than just a place to bank. We're your neighbors.